In engineering physics, we are discussing crystallography. In the last session, we looked at the two different techniques of X-ray diffraction with respect to study of crystal structure, namely law method and powdered method, and merits and demerits of them. In today's session, we shall focus on understanding the defects in solids. We call them as crystal defects. We know that crystals generally will have a regular periodic arrangement of atoms. In that situation, any deviation from this periodicity is what is known as imperfections or defects in crystals. That is, when there is an irregularity or departure from the perfect periodicity of atomic arrays in a crystal, then it is known as crystal defects or imperfections. These defects in crystal or crystals affect their structure and its relative sensitive properties like mechanical strength, ductility, crystal growth, dielectric strength, magnetic hysteresis, conduction in semiconductors, etc. So the imperfections or crystal defects may be confined to a point or a line or a surface and volume of a crystal. Based on the type of imperfection, the defects have been classified into number of categories like what is shown here schematically. So broadly you can consider imperfections into or defects into point defects, line defects, surface defects and volume defects. And again in turn under point defects you have vacancies. What we call a popularly known defect, what is known as Schottky defect. And there is interstitialis. Interstitialis is Frenkel defect, Fresnel defect what we call as, and compositional defects. And whereas when you take at line defects, there are basically two categories of line defects. One is called edge dislocation, another one is a screw dislocation. Here in compositional defects, when you see, there are two different varieties here. One is substitutional impurity defect, another is interstitial impurity defect. And in surface, if you see, there are grained boundaries, twin boundaries, tilt boundaries, and stacking faults. So there are various number of defects that are available here. Apart from that, you can have electronic defects also, along with volume defects. So these are broad categories of various type of imperfections or crystal defects. Now let us understand each one of them one after another, and wherever possible we will try to understand that in a schematic manner. Let us look at point defects. So the best way to understand point defect is, if a defect is localized near a point or atom in the crystal structure, then the defect can be known as a point defect. Point defect is a defect localized near a point or atom in the crystal structure. This defect occurs due to imperfect packing of atoms during crystallization. When a regular atom is absent at its periodic position or present at irregular position, it creates a point defect. The point defect may also be due to the presence of impurity atoms in the crystal. Point defect occur in metallic and ionic crystals also. And again in point defects, they are classified into various types. Like one is something what is known as vacancy. So let us understand vacancy type of point defect. Now let us understand what vacancy is all about. Now vacancy is a point defect. It is nothing but the simplest point defect in crystal. The most common defect in point defects is vacancy. The name itself is telling. It is the simplest point defect in a crystal that refers to a missing atom at its site. For example, look at this diagram. Here there is a vacancy, an atom is missing here. So, in any crystal lattice, when an atom is missing from its position in a regular periodic arrangement of atoms, it creates a vacancy in its position, and the periodicity of atom is automatically lost. And this defect is what is known as vacancy. These type of vacancies may arise either from imperfect packing during the formation of crystals or from thermal variations of atoms at high temperatures. When the thermal energy due to vibrations is increased in the atoms will jump out of their positions of the lowest energy and move over to the surface. For most of the crystal, this thermal energy is of the order of 1 electron volt per vacancy. The number of vacancies per unit volume of the crystal depends on the temperature. So, depending on the number of atoms missing, there may be single vacancy, that is, if one atom is missing, or divacancies, that means if two atoms are missing, and trivacancies, if three atoms are missing, and so on and so forth. This is what we need to know about vacancy, which is one type of point defect. Another type of point defect is what is known as interstitials. Now, when an extra atom is inserted into the crystal, naturally it occupies interstitial positions, that is, void or space between the regularly positioned parent atoms without dislodging the parent atom. Something like this. So, an additional atom is inserted. The regular periodicity of these parent atoms is not dislodged, it is not disturbed, but is inserted in between. So, the defect caused is therefore known as interstitial defects, because the atom inserted is getting into the vacant position. It is getting into the void or space position without disturbing the parent atom, without dislodging them. Hence the name interstitial. That means the defect is because of interstitial defect. The defect is caused, therefore is known as interstitial defect. And the extra atom becomes interstitial atom, therefore. So this happens when the interstitial atom is very small or smaller than the parent atom, and therefore the crystal has low package factor. So depending on the number of extra atoms, interstitials may be single or di or tri or so on and so forth. Now in this type of crystal defects, this is yet another type of point defect. Now in vacancy again there is a special case. So that is what is basically known as Schottky defect. So let us come back to vacancy to understand Schottky defect. Schottky defects is a special case of vacancy defect. In ionic crystals, if you consider, let us say, the periodic distribution of positive and negative ions carrying equal charges, then there are two types of possible vacancies in ionic crystal. One is cation vacancies, another is anion vacancies. That is, one is positive ion vacancies, another is negative ion vacancies. So in that situation, a positive ion vacancy generally is formed when a positive ion from the interior of the crystal moves out of the crystal to its surface, like this. So a positive ion vacancy is generally formed when a positive ion from the interior of the crystal moves out of the crystal to its surface. So when a positive ion vacancy is formed inside the crystal, naturally it results in excess negative charge inside the crystal. So to maintain the charge neutrality of the crystal, a negative ion moves to the crystal surface. The moment positive ion comes out, naturally inside negative ion charge increases. So to maintain the stability, the corresponding negative ion also is forced to come out onto the surface. Therefore, what happens? A positive and a negative ion vacancy pair is created inside the crystal. So such a pair of vacant sites is what is known as Schottky defect. The best example for this is the sodium chloride. If you take a sodium chloride crystal, each vacancy of sodium ion tends to result in the formation of one chloride ion vacancy. Similarly, in magnesium chloride, magnesium ion is doubly changed. So each vacancy at magnesium site is compensated by two anion vacancies in the chloride sites. This is what you need to know about Schottky defect. Let us understand special case of interstitial defects, what is known as Fresnel effect or Frenkel effect, Frenkel defect, Fresnel defect or Frenkel defect. Like Frenkel defect, if you take, it is a special case of interstitial defect. It is coming under point defects only. Now, like this, if you consider a periodic distribution of positive and negative ions in an ionic crystal, when a negative ion leaves its site and settles in the interstitial position, then naturally it creates a vacancy in its position. That means a vacancy and interstitial defects are created. So this pair of defect is what is known as Frenkel defect. Again I am repeating. When you consider Frenkel defect is a special case of interstitial defect. That is atoms getting adjusted into space or void space. Consider a periodic distribution of positive and negative ions in an ionic crystal like this. From this, whenever a negative ion leaves its site and settles in the interstitial position, then naturally it creates a vacancy in that position. That means both a vacancy and interstitial defects are created. So this pair of defect is what is known as Frenkel defect. So this defect is generally exhibited by the ionic crystal whose anions are larger in size than cations. For example, if you take silver halides, silver chloride or silver bromide, these are all various examples where in these ionic crystals, anions are a little bit larger in size than cations. In such case, Frenkel defect occurs. Now let us understand compositional defects. Now when an impurity atom is doped into the crystal, then it will try to settle in the position of the parent atom if the vacancy is present. Otherwise, if the size of the impurity atom is less than the parent atom, then it will try to settle in the interstitial space between the parent atoms. So these defects are what are known as compositional defects. So they are again of two types. One is called substitutional impurity defect and the other is called interstitial impurity defect. Let us understand each of them. Substitutional impurity defect, if you see, is one of the compositional defects. Like this, you take the periodic arrangement of atoms and doped impurity is present here, let us say. If the impurity atom occupies in one of the positions of the atoms, it occupied one of the positions of the parent atoms in the crystal, then it becomes substitutional impurity or substitutional defect, substitutional imperfection or substitutional defect. So the impurity atom is sitting in one of the parent atom location when there is a vacancy. This is substitutional impurity. The other impurity, if you take interstitial impurity, for example, it is quite opposite. Whenever the impurity atom tries the doping, when you are doing doping to this crystal, the doped atom or the impurity atom, whenever it tries to settle in the interstitial space between the parent atoms of the crystal, then it gives rise to the interstitial impurity effects. Carefully see the difference between these two. In both cases, periodic arrangement of atoms is there. Parent atoms are regularly arranged. Only thing is you are doping in both cases. Whenever you dope with an impurity, here in the case of substitutional impurity, naturally the impurity atom is trying to occupy the position of a parent atom whenever it finds a vacancy. That means it is replacing the parent atom location. Whereas in this case, in interstitial impurity, the doped atom is trying to settle between the interstitial space between the atoms. That means between the parent atoms, whenever there is a void or a space, this impurity tries to get and settle there. That type of compositional defect is what is known as interstitial impurity or interstitial impurity defect. Clear? Now, apart from this, there are other defects, something what is known as electronic defect. Due to defect present in the crystal, you can observe the change distribution is not uniform. The charge distribution is not uniform. Due to defect present in the crystal, charge distribution is not uniform. When you talk about electronic defects, that means it varies in the crystal. So therefore, such non-uniform distribution of charge in a crystal due to the presence of various defects is what is known as electronic defect. When the positive ions occupy the interstitial spaces in a crystal, then the amount of positive charge will be more when compared to the negative charge of the crystal and vice versa. This is what is known as electronic defects. So let us understand yet another type of defects, what is known as line defects. Now, when the periodicity of atomic arrangement is interrupted along a line or along a certain directions in the crystal, then the defect is what is known as line defects or dislocations, what we call as. Dislocation refers to a linear disturbance of the atomic arrangement in a crystal. Generally, this defect occurs in the process of formation of crystal and also during slipping of the atomic planes over the others. So the dislocation influences the structural sensitive properties of the crystal like ductility in metals, ceramics and crystalline polymers. The dislocations again are of two types. One is called edge dislocation, another is called screw dislocation. Edge dislocation and screw dislocation. So let us understand edge dislocation first. When you look at edge dislocation, now this figure, this gives basically perfect crystal. For this perfect crystal, this figure gives you its face having a regular periodic arrangement of atoms. So the perfect crystal is made up of vertical planes parallel to one another and to the side faces. Suppose if one of these vertical planes does not extend from top to the bottom of the crystal but ends part away within the crystal, then dislocation takes place. Again I am repeating, in edge dislocation, which is one of the line defects, if you see this diagram, this is the perfect crystal and this is the face, perfect crystal face having regular periodic arrangement. So the perfect crystal is made up of vertical planes parallel to one another and to the side faces. Now on this, if you see one of the planes, vertical planes, does not extend from top to the bottom of the crystal but tends part away within the crystal, then there is a dislocation like the one shown here. This is the perfect crystal dislocation shown. This is a structure dislocation shown, face dislocation shown. If you see this diagram, that means to the previous diagram which we have seen as a perfect crystal, one of the vertical planes does not extend from top to the bottom of the crystal but tends part away within the crystal. That means a discontinuity or a dislocation is present along the edge of the vertical plane. Along the edge of the vertical plane. This figure shows the dislocated crystal face. For example, in a perfect crystal, the atoms are in equilibrium and they are in equilibrium positions and all the bond lengths are of the equilibrium value. In the imperfect crystal, the edge of the incomplete plane, the atoms are squeezed and are therefore in a state of compression. So the bond lengths have been compressed to smaller than equilibrium value. So below the edge, the atoms are pulled apart. The atoms are pulled apart here. Or therefore they are in a state of tension. So the bond lengths have been stretched to the above the normal values. This is what we need to observe here. So this distorted configuration extends all along the edge into the crystal. That means mass distortion is centered around the edge of the incomplete plane. That means it represents a line imperfection and therefore is called an edge dislocation, and it is represented by this perpendicular symbol here, edge dislocation. So this dislocation is due to the imperfect matching of vertical planes of upper and lower surfaces of the crystal while preparing the crystal. So edge dislocation may also be due to the slipping of atomic planes over the other. For example, if one atomic plane is slipping over the other plane, then also edge dislocation causes, which we can show as this one. For example, let us say when the two atomic planes of regular crystal are made to slip along AB. Two atomic planes of regular crystal are made to slip along AB. Due to mismatching of upper and lower planes, there is a discontinuity at the edge of the vertical plane PQ. This is the PQ, causing edge dislocation. So therefore, here this perpendicular symbol shows edge dislocation. So there is a discontinuity at the edge of the vertical plane, causing the edge dislocation. So therefore, a state of and to have bonding between the two portions of the atoms in the upper portion are in a state of compression. Here there is an expansion as well as a compression. And therefore the atoms in the lower portion are in a state of tension, like this. Therefore this figure helps us to understand that if the edge of the dislocation is above the slip plane, then it is known as positive edge dislocation, PQ. PQ is the positive edge dislocation, and it is denoted by this symbol. If it is below the slip plane, then it becomes a negative edge dislocation. This is P dash Q dash. And it is denoted by the invert of this perpendicular symbol, like T. This is what we need to know about edge dislocation. Now let us understand screw dislocation. So like this, consider a perfect crystal having a regular periodic atomic arrangements. When one face is cut midway along AB. Midway along AB, one face is cut, and then we are applying a shear stress parallel to the cutting plane, such that the right portion moves down. Again I am repeating. Consider a perfect crystal having a regular periodic atomic arrangement. Then in that situation, you cut one face. That means when one face is cut midway along AB and then applying a shear stress parallel to the cutting plane such that the right portion, that is the second portion, moves down with respect to the left portion. Along the cut boundary, the atoms are getting displaced and two regions will be in the mismatched condition. Two regions will be in the mismatched condition. That is, the dislocation of atoms takes place around the edge. The dislocation of atoms takes place around the edge line AB. This is what is known as dislocation line. From the top surface, the dislocation of atoms will be in the form of a screw or a spiral around AB. Hence the dislocation is called screw dislocation. Okay. Here we need to understand something what is known as Burger's vector and Burger's vector application of edge dislocation. Let us understand what is Burger's vector. The strength of any dislocation is generally described in terms of a parameter that is what is known as Burger's vector, or otherwise known as a slip vector. Slip vector or Burger's vector is a parameter that is helping us to understand the strength of any dislocation. The strength of any dislocation is therefore described in terms of a parameter what is known as Burger's vector or slip vector or slip vector. Slip or Burger vector both are same. Burger's vector is a very important property of a dislocation because if the Burger's vector and the orientation of a dislocation line are known, the dislocation is completely described. Because with the help of Burger's vector and orientation, a dislocation line can easily be identified and described. So Burger's vector indicates always how much above the slip plane and in what direction the lattice appears to have shifted with respect to the lattice below the slip plane. That can be understood with Burger's vector. The best way of defining Burger's vector of a dislocation is by means of something what is called Burger's circuit. Burger's circuit can be obtained by considering atomic arrangement around the edge dislocation or screw dislocation. Starting from a lattice point, trace the path from atom to atom, equal distance in each direction. If the region is enclosed by the path does not continue a dislocation, the Burger's circuit will close. If the path encloses a dislocation, the Burger's circuit will not close. So the closure failure of Burger's circuit is what is called Burger's vector, represented by the alphabet B, which can be schematically shown as like the one represented here. This is Burger's circuit in perfect crystal. This is Burger's circuit in edge dislocation. Now if you see this, Burger's circuit is nothing but the path traced by counting equal number of atoms in horizontal and vertical planes. So in a perfect crystal, the circuit state may be started from the lattice point P and covers 4 atoms and reach Q. From Q, by covering 5 atoms, it reaches R. Again I am telling. Here, in a perfect crystal, Burger's circuit is the path traced by counting equal number of atoms in horizontal as well as vertical planes, vertical directions. So in a perfect crystal like this, where there is a regular periodicity of atoms, the circuit may be started from P, started from the lattice point P and covers 1, 2, 3, 4, covers 4 points, 4 atoms and reaches Q. And from Q it again covers 5 atoms to reach R. And by covering 4 or 5 atoms, respectively, it covers S and P. So the circuit is closed at P. Thus, the Burger circuit is closed in a perfect crystal. If there is a dislocation, let us say, that is what is happening in the second picture. Whenever there is a dislocation, in the crystal containing dislocation, the circuit is started from P, reaches P dash by counting equal number of atoms in the vertical and horizontal directions around the edge dislocation. To close the circuit, we need an extra step, that is the Burger's vector. So this extra step is what is known as Burger vector. So the Burger vector is always perpendicular to the edge dislocation. This is what we need to understand about. So let us look at Burger's vector in screw dislocation like this. So by tracing equal number of atoms along the screw dislocation of the crystal from A to F, A, B, C, D, F like that, we need one step from F to A to close the circuit. So this additional step representing Burger's vector of screw dislocation. The Burger's vector is always parallel to the screw dislocation. This is what we need to understand. So if you summarize today's session, we tried to understand defects in solids or otherwise crystals, saying that any deviation from the periodicity is what is known as imperfection or defects in crystal. Based on the type of imperfection, they are classified as point defects, which is subcategorized as vacancies, interstitialities and compositional defects. Wherein again we have looked at substitutional impurity defect and interstitial impurity defect. Then we look at electronic defects, then line defects and then surface defects. In point defects, we looked at vacancies, interstitials, Schottky defect and then Frenkel defect, and then compositional defect, we looked at substitutional impurity defect and interstitial impurity defect, then electronic defect, followed by in line defect, we looked at edge dislocation and screw dislocation. In edge dislocation, we looked at positive and negative ion edge dislocation. Whereas in screw dislocation, we brought the concept of Burger vector and Burger circuit. With the help of Burger vector, we looked at the defects identification in both edge dislocation as well as screw dislocation. This is what we have discussed now. With this, we have formally concluded the concept of crystallography.